Welcome back to part 5 of reading A Family Bank Blueprint by the author, myself, Stephanie Lennon. Thank you for joining me. Where we left off last time, we talked about how the kids were earning interest on their unspent spending accounts and their savings accounts. Now let's talk about entrepreneurship and external revenue that they've started getting involved with. Let's begin. Creating new revenue. World's best lemonade stand. Over the summer of 2019, the girls decided to host a lemonade, cookie, and candy stand at the neighborhood pool. At first, I bought the supplies, the most profitable way for them to do it, or some of the supplies, moderately profitable, and ultimately finally had them where they had to buy the supplies themselves, least profitable for them, but closest to the real world situation of running a business. To educate them on how business really works, now they must cover their variable supplies. The girls were up for the challenge. We bought lemons and sugar, boxes of Starburst and Skittles, and materials for my best chocolate chip cookie recipe. We calculated how much ingredients cost and, by extension, the cost of goods for the cookies, lemonade, and candy. With that, the girls baked cookies and squeezed lemons. They set their price to ensure that they had a chance to be profitable. We discussed volume prices for the cookies, and they landed on 50 cents each, or 3 for $1. After hauling our goods to the pool, they had to balance engaging customers with not eating their inventory. We discussed our customer targeting based on what we observed. Teenagers were most likely to buy the candy. Dads and older neighbors were more likely to be drawn to the lemonade. The cookies tempted everyone, and who could blame them because they're still soft from the oven and smelled amazing. Baby girl is a raging introvert. She had to put herself out there, calling out to neighbors and hawking the best lemonade in Virginia, fresh baked chocolate chip cookies, and candy, depending on the demographic of the passerby. One neighbor overpaid and asked us to give his credits to his grandkids who stopped by later. The girls practiced making change and saying thank you. Between selling the world's best lemonade and having extremely generous neighbors, they were able to earn a bit of spending money after each effort. They practiced sourcing, buying the raw materials, production, squeezing lemons and mixing the juice with water and sugar, marketing, colorful signs and loudly announcing their product to passersby, fulfillment, serving the lemonade, customer service, collecting payment, making change and thanking their customers, logistics, setup and breakdown of their stand, and accounting, counting their revenues and reimbursing me for their upfront investment. Pretty good little business lesson there. While they grumbled lightly at the cost of goods that came out of their revenues, they started getting the concept. Light bulbs went off in the children's minds. They realized that cash is fun and that they can earn it, enabling them to spend more. At the end, as the food truck nearby closed up shop, we started putting away our leftovers. The food truck staff brought over a tray of funnel cake fries, and we returned the favor with cookies. Everyone was happy while also being ready to be done for the afternoon. After they counted their revenues and netted off the costs, the girls each had $7.95 to show for their efforts. Half went into their savings for a net of $3.98 each. Not much to show for many hours of work, but profitable, and they had fun. On a relative basis, it boosted their weekly income by 40%. That $4 really meant something at the time to their balances. Pet sitting. Baby girl loves animals and is the ultimate dog lover. When a neighbor asked her to look after their dog and plants for a week, she beamed with excitement. To have the opportunity to earn money doing what she loves is a dream that most people harbor. She showed up with a notebook and pushed her shy self to speak to the neighbor, asking questions and taking detailed notes. She collected the necessary instructions and carefully took custody of the key. As a side note, we do have a template that she's used for this kind of a client engagement, whether it's for pet, house, and plant sitting. We have one for that. We have another one for babysitting. So if your child wants to just have a little tool to help them in that first conversation, I'll put the link in the notes below, and please feel free to download it. It's free on my website. So take a look. The first pup gave her a run for her money. She patiently coaxed him to let her pet him after taking care of business outside and eating. To be paid for the privilege of paying with him and being entrusted with responsibility was icing on the cake. As is customary, half went into the savings account and half went into her spending account. After her first engagement, she happily took on more work. A second neighbor invited her to look after 2 dogs and a cat, and her business began. Having seen husbands in my example, she asked to print business cards to share with more neighbors. We found a design online that she liked, and she used her spending money to order 500. That gave her enough to put in mailboxes, reserving some to hand out when she showed up at engagements. After receiving the precious box of cards in the mail, baby girl and little man rode their bikes to put one in each nearby neighbor's mailbox. Other days we walked. As we encountered neighbors, I nudged baby girl to open the conversation and tell them about her business. There's a big difference between handing someone a card and talking about your services eye to eye versus anonymously leaving a business card to be thrown out with the other random junk that shows up in mailboxes. we've all done that. A few days later, her second customer posted a picture of her card on our active neighborhood Facebook group with a recommendation. The following day, an email inquiry came in from a new customer who needed 2 cats fed during the holidays, and a multi-year income stream began. Yard work for hire. In early August, the family took a trip to Nana's mountain house. As a master naturalist for the Wintergreen Foundation, the intrusion of stilt grass angered Nana. It was taking over the mountain's natural vegetation. Nana offered the children the opportunity to earn a few dollars helping pull this unwanted invasion from her yard. The 4 of them spent about 30 minutes pulling the offensive grass out, earning $10 each for their efforts, knowing that half was to go into their spending and half into their savings accounts. Little man decided he wanted it all to go into his savings, even though he knew that once it goes into savings account, it could not come back. The children don't normally engage in a lot of manual labor and seldom chose to help me out in the garden when I asked. My interview results were amusing. Baby girl. It was hard work because you had to pick 1,000 million weeds, but because they came out easily from the ground, the 30 minutes really only felt like 5. That's pretty good. Little man. The work was really easy. It was hard to work around the other plants, and I got prickled through the back of my gloves. It kind of hurt, but Papa pulled the prickers out, and I'd do it again if Nana wanted me to hire me. When I saw the bags of grass, I was really proud of myself. We won. It was okay. I mean, I loved it. It was really great because I got money. I thanked Nana because she gave us the choice for picking weeds. Then she heard some intriguing noise from downstairs and let me know, I'm going downstairs. You finish the rest of your book. Listening to them, it was just so interesting to me because they got to do work that they don't normally do. It wasn't terribly hard, and they were doing it together as well as with my mom. And she immediately handed them the cash. So they were connecting the dots between what you do and getting paid for your efforts. And that was a pretty important lesson there. Just reinforcement of that lesson. There are many creative ways to help family and neighbors with maintaining their yards. The boy across the street mows lawns. Another neighbor posted an online request for a teenager who could help dig a hole for her. One year, our kids sold their services picking up acorns from people's yards, which they later fed to the pigs up the road. The ideas are endless. We want the kids to see financial opportunity everywhere. The most interesting side hustles I see are born out of creativity and sometimes boredom. Yards and gardens have a lot of opportunity for creating income generation without needing a lot of skill sets or startup capital. Another resource I will put in the notes below is, again, on my website. It is a list of dozens and dozens and dozens of opportunities, like revenue generating opportunities that kids could do. Depending on whether your kid is more of an outdoorsy garden kind of person or artsy craftsy or animal oriented, tutoring, sports related, there are so many opportunities for kids to get involved and to earn money just using their skill sets. So if your child is looking for ideas of how they could potentially start a business or just a side hustle of some kind, take a look at that list. And again, I'll put it in the notes below. I'm going to pause here and ask you, if you're finding value in this material, do me the kindest favor and hit a like so others will also see this. And if you're so inclined, subscribe, please. That way you'll see when the next installment comes out and be able to continue following along on Family Bank Blueprint. It means the world to me, and I just thank you so very much. Thanks. Let's continue. Educational incentives. Education is extremely important to us. To encourage reading when it was an unpopular activity, we put a monetary incentive on reading accomplishments. The carrot was this: $50 to each child who reads 100 chapter books. Note that this is not 50 cents per book. It is $50 for 100 books because we didn't want them to do like 4 and then say, okay, pay me $2. It's like, no, go through the whole exercise, try to get that reading habit going. They had to read a book, provide a virtual synopsis of it, and write it down to track progress. This incentive reinforced a highly desired behavior in the older two. Our oldest now has a mission, and she pursued it wholeheartedly. The first book she chose were the illustrated 100-page, double-spaced, larger font Magic Treehouse series by Mary Pope Osborne, and others like it, which makes sense for how old she was at the time. She did well, working her way slowly through each and dutifully providing a synopsis and recording its completion. A month into the challenge, we were browsing our local Barnes & Noble where we needed to redeem a gift card. She loves animals and came across Erin Hunter, the author of youth fantasy epics featuring clans of dogs, cats, and polar bears. I expressed doubt when she brought her selection to me. It looked a bit advanced and actually a little scary. She insisted, though, and we brought it home. Before we knew it, baby girl was devouring non-illustrated 320-page normal font books by the half dozen. She soon manifested her genetic predisposition to stay up late into the night, absorbed in her reading. Definitely doesn't get it from me or my husband. Not at all, no. No longer were we fighting to get her to engage in reading. We were struggling to get her to turn off the lights. After 8 months, she finished her 100th chapter book and received her payout. We discussed what counted as a chapter book, since there is a significant difference between the book she started and ended the challenge with. Ultimately, we decided a book is a book. The second 100 will not pay because the incentive served its purpose. Her love of reading has become a part of her, and now we make sure we build in frequent enough library visits. Side note, great way to also illustrate the power of money and things that you can get for free is the use of the library. So it's good to take a look at what are all the books that you and your children check out in any given month or quarter, year, whatever your frequency is, and look at what it would cost if you were to order them on Amazon and show them, hey, we checked out these for free from the library. If we had bought them new, it would have cost us however many dollars, but since we went to the library, we just saved ourselves, $123 or whatever it is. It's a great little teachable moment to say, hey, like, there are free resources out there. Let's take advantage of them because you can. Ironically, now we need to incentivize her to socialize with other kids. Her preference is to bury her nose in a book instead of hanging out with other children. While money is only one way to reward a behavior, never underestimate its power. Little Man engaged more with reading too, though he has not yet bothered to record the books to claim his reward. He prefers the comic-style books over the pure text, which needs to give way at some point to more mature books. Wee One is 2 years behind, but has the same offer available to her when she's ready to read the chapter books of her choosing. On this vein, each of the children got their own library cards. There are many financial lessons to be learned from such a simple item, the library card bearing one's name. They have the power to take up to 30 items at a time for free. There really is not a better price point for unlimited reading materials and DVD rentals. With the card comes the responsibility for paying attention to when the books are due and making sure we return or renew each book in a timely fashion. They are accountable for paying any fines for lost or damaged materials. By comparing the cost of buying new on Amazon or at the local bricks and mortar shop, they have the satisfaction of saving their precious funds while having thousands of items readily available to them for their personal entertainment. That ends this segment of our Reading a Family Bank Blueprint. It means the world to me. I'm a YouTuber, if you will. So thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Have a great day.